When people imagine The Little Mermaid, vibrant images of undersea kingdoms, talking crabs, and colorful songs come to mind. We think of Ariel's fiery red hair, her spirit of adventure, and, of course, her quest to find true love on land. But long before Disney's version ever leapt onto movie screens and into our collective hearts, there was another mermaid, a creature wrought from longing and sorrow, living within the pages of Hans Christian Andersen's haunting fairy tale. To truly understand the origins of The Little Mermaid, we must dive beneath the sparkling surface, to the shadowy depths where the original story unfolds. A narrative saturated not with glittering hope, but with sacrifice, heartbreak, and existential yearning. The Disney version of The Little Mermaid is, in many ways, a coming-of-age story. Ariel, restless under her father's strict rule, dreams of living among humans. She's inquisitive and headstrong, and when she falls in love with Prince Eric, she courageously strikes a bargain with the sea witch Ursula. Ariel gives up her voice in exchange for human legs, with only 3 days to win the prince's heart. After a whirlwind of mishaps, misunderstandings, and show-stopping musical numbers, Ariel prevails. With the help of her undersea friends, she defeats Ursula, regains her voice, and wins Eric's love. Ultimately, she bridges 2 worlds, choosing her own path to happiness. Disney's adaptation concludes in celebration, love triumphs, and dreams come true. But Hans Christian Andersen's tale is something far darker, and yet, in its melancholy, achingly beautiful. First published in 1837, Andersen's Little Mermaid is nameless, known only as The Little Mermaid, a symbol for all who yearn for something just out of reach. In his story, the mermaid lives under the sea with her widowed father, her grandmother, and 5 sisters. The world beneath the waves is wondrous, but the Little Mermaid is insatiably curious about life above. Each of her older sisters, upon turning 15, is allowed to rise to the surface and see the world of humans. The Little Mermaid, the youngest, must wait. When at last her time comes, she sees a grand ship celebrating the birthday of a handsome prince. She's captivated, yet knows she only belongs as a silent observer. When a violent storm wrecks the ship, she saves the unconscious prince, dragging him to shore, where another woman finds him. The prince never knows who his true rescuer was. The seed of love is planted, but for the Little Mermaid, her infatuation is about more than romance. She learns from her grandmother that mermaids lack immortal souls. When they die, they become sea foam and cease to exist, while humans' souls live on. For the Little Mermaid, becoming human is not just about love. It's about transcending mortality, gaining a soul, and finding meaning beyond the endless ebb and flow of the sea. Desperate, she visits the sea witch, not a singing villain, but a chilling figure representing primal forces and consequence. The witch makes a merciless bargain. The mermaid will gain human legs, but every step will feel like walking on sharp knives. She must win the prince's love. Only a kiss, a declaration of marriage, can grant her a human soul. And, in exchange, she must give up her beautiful voice, the most enchanting in the sea. If she fails, she will die, dissolving into sea foam forever. The transformation is agony. The mermaid emerges on land, mute, every movement searing with pain. She encounters the prince, who is gentle and grateful, but sees her as a cherished friend, a companion, not his beloved. He is still entranced by the other woman, believing she saved him. The mermaid dances for the prince, enduring excruciating pain with every step, all to remain by his side. Under Andersen's pen, love is not about personal fulfillment, but about sacrifice, endurance, and longing without hope of reward. When the prince marries another, the Little Mermaid stands at the edge of oblivion. Her sisters, understanding her heartbreak, bargain with the sea witch to save her. They give up their hair for a magic dagger. If the Little Mermaid kills the prince and lets drops of his blood fall on her legs, she will become a mermaid again, returning safely to the sea. But as she gazes upon the prince and his new bride, she cannot bring herself to murder the one she loves. At dawn, she throws the dagger into the sea and leaps into the waves, expecting to die and turn to foam. But Andersen offers a twist. she finds herself transformed, now a daughter of the air. Because of her selfless sacrifice, she is permitted to wander as a spirit for 300 years, doing good deeds and earning a soul through acts of compassion. Her story ends not with romantic fulfillment, but with transcendence and spiritual hope, a bittersweet, uncertain immortality. This ending is a far cry from Disney's Happily Ever After. Pain and sacrifice replace triumph, and love is depicted as a force that can ask everything of us, often with no promise that our devotion will be returned. The Little Mermaid's willingness to endure agony, to sacrifice her voice, her family, and finally her life, speaks to themes at the core of Andersen's tale: the longing for meaning, the ache of unrequited love, and the struggle to find one's place in a world where dreams and reality collide. Why did Andersen choose such a mournful conclusion? Many literary scholars have seen The Little Mermaid as a deeply personal confession. Andersen himself was plagued by feelings of isolation and forbidden desires, writing at a time when his own romantic yearnings could not be openly fulfilled. The story's symbolism reflects his own longing and spiritual search. The mermaid's mute suffering speaks to the agony of unexpressed love and the universal quest for belonging. Throughout Andersen's tale, motifs of pain, loss, and transformation abound. Gaining human legs comes only through excruciating sacrifice. The inability to communicate underscores the alienation between worlds, between childhood and adulthood, sea and land, fantasy and reality. Even the quest for a soul turns the narrative away from simple love toward grander questions about mortality and spiritual worth. Disney's adaptation, beloved as it is, transforms this darkness into light, retaining the trappings of romance and fantasy, but softening the harsh truths of the original. In making The Little Mermaid a modern heroine, pursuing her desires against obstacles and winning happiness, Disney reframed Andersen's existential tragedy as a story of self-discovery and empowerment. For some, this is a necessary evolution. For others, it's a sanitization that dilutes the more profound elements of the tale. The tension between these two visions has fueled ongoing controversy. Some critics see the Disney version as promoting independence and self-assertion. Others argue it erases the mermaid's original spiritual quest and the complexity of her suffering. The darker tones of Andersen's narrative, they say, offer children and adults alike the chance to grapple with uncertainty, loss, and the mysteries of the heart. Modern adaptations continue to revisit The Little Mermaid's origins. Some champion a return to Andersen's vision, finding value in stories that don't end in effortless reward. Others reinterpret the mermaid's plight as a metaphor for contemporary struggles, be they about identity, love, or belonging in our own world. Each retelling underscores that The Little Mermaid endures not because of its surface glitter, but because of the deep emotions and truths that ripple just below. In the end, The Little Mermaid reminds us of the price some pay for love and the ways in which dreams and desires can lead us to greatness or to heartbreak. Andersen's mermaid may not find happiness with the prince, but her journey is one of courage, sacrifice, and, ultimately, transformation beyond loss. Her story lingers, haunting and beautiful, offering solace for anyone who has ever loved deeply, endured pain in silence, or longed for something just out of reach. So the next time you hear the siren song of The Little Mermaid, remember, behind the shimmering waves and cheerful tunes, there lies a much older and far more tragic tale. One that dares to ask, what is the cost of love, and can any sacrifice give us the soul we seek? The answer, as Andersen knew, is as deep and unknowable as the ocean itself.